Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode. For the past few years, a few worrying signs have been developing in India. Some of them are slightly distressing, and some of them are alarming, unprecedented, and sets the country in a very dangerous direction. India has a lot to be proud of because of an exceptional progress it has made in the past 70 years. However, if alarming signs come up, it is important for everyone to see them in detail and take notice of what is happening. In this episode, I have chosen 8 important indicators to show a few frightening trends in areas that matter to common people. There are many more that exist, but only a few can be covered in one episode. It is important for us to see this because change does not come just through politicians. Important changes in regions come through common people and communities. There's a huge propaganda going on that India has got a world recognition after the current government came to power in 2014. Let us take a look at what is the reality. India has been a democracy for the past 70 years and was known as the world's largest democracy, despite many ups and downs and under the rule of various political parties. In March 2021, US-based organization Freedom House downgraded India to a partially free democracy. A few weeks later, Swedish-based Videm Institute declared India an electoral autocracy, which is worse than Bangladesh and Nepal and at par with Pakistan. What are the reasons that they gave for this downgrading? Videm Institute stated that the downgrade is because of absence of autonomy in India's election commission, discrimination in the name of religion, subduing civil organizations, and the worst censorship of media under the present Modi government that India has ever seen. Freedom House stated that this downgrade is because of harassments of journalists and any government critics, diminishing civil liberties, and discrimination against Muslims. An article in the Geopolitics also stated that India is losing its democracy because of misrepresentation of data and unethical use of social media by the state. This is not a small change because right in front of our eyes, we are seeing an India which is stopping to be a democracy anymore. The research is done through millions of data points collected by international organizations that rank countries. Losing its democratic status is a major downward step for India in the world stage. Let us take a look at another important indicator to understand whether India's position has improved under the current government or deteriorated. Passport ranking of a country determines a country's strength and foreign policy success. It shows how friendly the country is considered by others, how many countries welcome that country or accept entry with minimal checks or visas. In 2013, India's index was 74. In 2014, it was 76. In 2014, the current government came into power. In 2015, India's ranking dropped sharply to 88, and since then, it has continued to stay well over 80. In 2021, India's rank was down to 90. It has slightly recovered in 2022, but it still continues to be over 80. India's passport ranking is now lower than Rwanda, China, Mongolia, and Indonesia, whereas India ranked above all these countries before 2014. Governments of all countries publish data on the status of their country. How honest or corrupt is a government is reflected by how trustworthy is its data and how transparently its government publishes it, whether they are good news or bad news. There are many countries in the world whose data are not trusted by the world. However, India was not one of them. India had developed established autonomous bodies that regularly published data even when the data showed very poor values. In January 2019, PC Mohanan, the former acting head of National Statistical Commission, resigned, stating that he had never felt pressure from the government until recently. He said that even when very poor performance was shown in his data and reports, he never felt government interference. On October 24, 2019, New York Times published an article that said that the current Modi government is selectively publishing data. Indian government is releasing data on left-wing violence while suppressing data about religious-based crimes or crimes against journalists. India had consistently published data on crime since 1950. In 2017, the Indian government for the first time delayed publishing data stating that data on human rights violation, crimes against journalists, and attacks by cow vigilantes had been withheld because they are prone to misinterpretation. A list of other significant data which the current government declared as missing are: number one, number of deaths of frontline workers during COVID, including healthcare workers, police personnel, and cleaners. Number two, number of deaths of migrant workers who died while walking on foot when a lockdown was declared in 4 hours' notice. Unofficial figures estimate that the deaths are in thousands. Number three, number of deaths of right to information activists. Number four, number of deaths of farmers who died during a year-long protest. Many of those farmers died right in front of TV cameras. Number five, number of micro and small medium enterprises shut down during pandemic. Number six, number of farmer suicide in India. PC Mohanan's views and the recent trend of denying data, as well as withholding approved reports that show government in poor light, puts a question on the autonomy of institutions in India. Ad hoc suppression of data reflects corruption, and it reduces the world's trust in India in believing any data that comes out of it. A new dangerous trend seen in India today is the vicious and barbaric narratives promoted by mainstream media every day. These narratives demonize minorities and those who raise a voice against the ruling party. Programs are conducted based on conspiracy theories in which anchors shout their own opinions while humiliating speakers of opposing views. They also selectively create panels where speakers are brought as analysts, experts, or leaders of farmers when they are actually members of the existing political party. The result of this is a biased propaganda fed to audience every day in a direction that these conspiracy theories want to promote.
Why are they quiet when someone calls for the genocide of Hindus? That together they will force Hindus in India to run into hiding, where Hindus will have nowhere to hide in India.
The other trend in India's recent media is to show the Prime Minister as an extraordinarily larger than life person. Media openly praises him for each and every action that he takes. This is not seen in the media of any democratic country and was not present in India before.
Narendra Modi, Narendra Modi, Narendra Modi, Narendra Modi, Narendra Modi, Narendra Modi.
Praising the leader of a country by nearly all media is done in places like North Korea, Russia, China, and clearly shows an erosion of democracy and bad administration by the leader. One more mischievous trend seen in India's media today is to selectively choose celebrities who particularly belong to minority communities or celebrities who have criticized the government before and run barbaric media trials against them on flimsy grounds. No proof or judgment comes at the end of it, but what it successfully achieves is filling a large audience's mind with hate against a community or against those who have criticized the government. The number of times it keeps happening with no repercussion on the media is shocking to see. Unless rules are brought into media, the current government or any future government can use it even more to target government critics or any selected community while looking extraordinarily great in front of people through praises of media. One of the very simple indicators that determine whether a country is progressing is its condition of poverty. Since 1974, India's poverty has consistently reduced year on year, as we can see from this graph from World Bank data. From 2005 to 2015, India's poverty reduction was the highest recorded anywhere in the world. During this time, 273 million people in India came out of poverty. To understand this number, 273 million people is more than the entire population of Russia. Since 2015, under the current government, for the first time in history, India's poverty has increased year on year. According to the official Tendulkar report, between 2012 to 2019, the number of poor people increased by 76 million. This was before the onset of COVID and before its impact on India. This increase in number is more than the entire population of United Kingdom. After achieving world's largest poverty reduction year on year between 2005 to 2015, for the first time India's poverty has grown and the existing middle class started going below the poverty line after 2015. According to various experts, this increase in poverty is partly due to a huge rise in unemployment, which is at a 45-year high, and partly due to various unilateral ad hoc economic policies taken by the government. Similarly, another grassroots indicator is hunger index. India's hunger index ranking had been improving year on year from 2010 to 2014, as we can see from this graph. In this graph, the higher is the bar, the worse is the hunger condition. Since 2017, India's hunger ranking continued to fall. In 2021, India ranked lowest in entire Southeast Asia in hunger, other than Afghanistan. The Hunger Index report states that India is one of the main factors that is pushing South Asia to the worst category of global hunger index. India now ranks lower than Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Congo in its condition of hunger. This index tracks undernourishment, child stunting, child wasting, that is, the child cannot function anymore because of lack of food, and child mortality, that is, the number of children who die under the age of 5. In this, child wasting has been increasing year on year. Press Freedom Index determines the freedom available to journalists in a country. The ranking has serious impact because it is quoted by diplomats and international organizations like the World Bank and United Nations. India's Press Freedom Index had been declining since 2010, even before the current government came to power. However, in 2020, India ranked 142 among 180 countries, which was its worst ranking in history. India is now classified as among the most dangerous countries for journalists in the world. India's current ranking at 142 is worse than Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar before the coup. Lastly, the most dangerous trend seen in India today is hateful speeches against minorities given by ministers in the government, chief ministers in states, and recognized organizations. Many of these speeches call for taking up arms against minorities, genocide, and various hateful acts. Numerous barbaric lynchings, mob attacks, and hate crimes on minorities have shot up in the past few years. In 2018, Time magazine published that 90% of hate crimes of the decade happened during the 4 years of the current Modi government. It is because of India's matured population and strong fabric that a watershed has not happened. But a whole new generation is growing up listening to this hate against minorities day and night. We do not know what impact it can make on them. India has existed as a peaceful nation with a huge population of widely diverse religious and ethnic communities that are found in no other country in the world. Other than a few violent incidents, India's peace, progress, and freedom has been unbroken in the past 70 years. Today, by making the majority believe that they have a threat from minorities through sensationalism and imagined dangers, we will only bring an end to that peace in which both the majority and the minorities would suffer. The story of India has been an astonishing one. There have been many flaws, but an astounding progress was also made in the past 70 years. It was completely unexpected that India would be a stable nation with the kind of tremendous challenges it had. Yet, India made a progress that amazed the world and also benefited the world. When data shows that a shift is happening, we need to wake up and take notice of it instead of shunning those who produce the data or show us the data. In today's world, each of us are influencers and each of us can significantly contribute to changing the society in both good and bad ways. Let us wake up to the alarming signs and contribute in whatever way we can to stop India's journey towards hate and a downward spiral. Do let me know what you thought of this episode with your comments below. And if you like the content, please do like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next episode.